just thought I would jump on today and give you a little update. It's so exciting when things happen that you're not expecting. And, you know, this is a little thing to most people. Oh, wait, I forgot to get my book. This is a little thing to most people, but for me, it's huge. Okay. You all know about my book, The Hidden Door of Versailles. And it will be a year in February 14th, Valentine's Day. It'll be a year since the book came out. And, you know, I've sold some, but, you know, I don't know. And what so many people tell me is that they would never, if they didn't know me personally, they would never buy a book on Marie Antoinette or a book that looked historical or anything like that. So I get that. I know it's a niche genre, very niche. And, you know, I don't know how to publicize it more than I do, but just by mentioning it once in a while on here and on Instagram. But I did want to tell you three quick stories about that have all happened in the past 2 weeks. And I'm wondering if God is, I don't know, telling me something. I don't know. Okay, first thing that happened, my daughter Megan told the kids, Luke and Layla, my grandkids, they are 11 and 8, she said, tell Gigi about the book. And I said, oh, what book? What book are y'all reading? You know? And they said, Layla said, your book. And I said, I'm thinking, what book did I give them that was mine? Anyway, it was this book. I said, what do you mean y'all are reading it? Well, their dad, Craig, had read all 7 Harry Potter books aloud to them last year, or over 2018. Before bed every night, he would read to them. And he read all 7 books. Unbelievable. Well, Layla decided that she was going to read this book out loud to her and Luke at night before bed. And he's 8, right? A boy. Okay. So I said, oh, really? I mean, I was so surprised. I never expected her or him, obviously, to read the book, or I never even thought about it. She said, yeah, I'm reading it out loud. And she said, I like it. And I said, oh, well, thank you, Layla. How far into it are? She says, we're on about chapter 4. And I said, okay. And I said, well, Luke, what do you think of it? Not thinking he would even, I mean, I don't know. He's really a smart kid, but not thinking that he would, I don't even know. And he said, yeah, Gigi, I really like it. I mean, this kid is gut honest about stuff. So he was telling me the truth. He wasn't just being nice. He said, I really like it. And he said, and I'm real worried about that man in black. And I said, oh, really? So he totally understood that this is a character that you should fear and everything. By chapter 4, he already figures it out. And he said, what was the other thing he said about it? He goes, oh, and I figured something out, Gigi. I said, what? And he said, she's traveling time. She's time traveling. And I was like, yeah, you're right, Luke. She's time traveling. And then I thought, and in my head, I'm just so excited that my own grandkids are so sweet and reading the book. And so then I'm thinking in my head, well, now, you know, for a few chapters, it's just kind of the love story part starting and everything. And is he going to get bored with that? So I said, Luke, I said, you need to read the whole book with Layla. I said, because there's some real good action in it, and there's horses and all this kind of thing. And then I said, do you know what a guillotine is? And he said, no. And I said, a guillotine is this machine thing that they had way back in the 1700s, and they used it to chop people's heads off. And he goes, whoa! And I said, and that happens in the book. That's happening in the book. So you got to keep listening. And he just was like running around the couch going, yay, yay! So that was the first thing that happened, and that made me feel so good. The second thing that happened that made me feel so good is I gathered up with some girlfriends from college. It's just my old friends, you know, from those very formative years of college, you know, and it was so fun. Well, all of a sudden, one of the girls whose house we were at, she goes, oh my gosh. And she ran in her room and she came out and she goes, this book. And I was like, oh my gosh, are you going to read it? And she goes, I've read it. She said it was so good. And then she started telling me what she liked about it. And you know, the part at the end where there's that really difficult decision, we kind of discussed it. And I told her it was hard for me to write, but I just didn't know what else to do. I wanted it to blah, blah, blah. So she was so sweet about it. And 2 of the other girls had read it and loved it. They had told me that online. And then another one of my friends has been going through, one of the girls is kind of going through a rough time. And she was like, oh, I need to read that. So I sent her a copy. So I can't wait to hear what she says. So that was clearly out of the blue. The book was the farthest thing from my mind in that setting with my friends. I just didn't even, I would have never mentioned it. It was totally off my radar. Third thing that just happened, Scott's kind of right-hand girl, woman, whatever you want to call it, at work. He had told her about way back about the book and everything, and she had kind of forgotten about it. She goes, oh, you know, I really want to read that book. I really want to read that book. And he was telling me that night when he came home. And I said, oh, I have like 1 extra copy. So I wrapped it up, gave it to him to give to her. So that night, or the next night, it was laying on the table, and her daughter came over. And she picked it up and she goes, what's this? And she told her about it and everything. And then the lady that Scott knows left the room for a little while, and she comes back and the girl's sitting in a chair reading the book. And so later on, she got up to leave, and she goes, oh, by the way, Mom, I'm taking the book. I want to take the book. I want to read the book. And the mom says, oh, no, you're not. You're leaving it here because I'm fixing to read it. And she said, oh my gosh, will you please let me have it when you're finished with it? I want to read it. She was on like chapter 2 or 3 already, because they're real short chapters. Anyway, all those things were so exciting. I just thought it would be fun to share and let you know that if you have a dream, a vision, a project, this was not a dream, this was a killer project, you know, stick with it. And whether it's successful in worldly terms, you know, in financial terms, sometimes that stuff doesn't matter. It's just an accomplishment. If you have something you want to accomplish that's bigger than anything you've ever thought and harder, keep working at it. One of these days you'll finish it. Bye.